great day when you're hanging around. Nothing's ever gonna bring me down. Good times are coming our way. Whenever, wherever, whatever today.
Today is going to be a great day. I am Nikki G, your host, and welcome to the Lone Doctrine, the food for thought exploration station and your place in making today better than yesterday. It's December, and I'm sure you're hearing, I can't believe it's December. Where did this year go? The holidays are right around the corner, and more and more and more and more. The fact of the matter is, whether you celebrate the holidays, the new year, or not, as much as this time of year can be a joyous time, it can also be a time that brings a lot of stress, anxiety, sadness, and a variety of those emotions that can be heavy weight to carry around. Now, before we get into the topic at hand, I wanted to personally apologize. You may or may have not noticed that there was not an episode last week. Unfortunately, I have lost my grandmother. And I'm going to try and share this with you without falling apart. My grandma had been fighting cancer for quite some time. And if you've been following us at the Lone Doctrine, you know that I have a lot of people in my family battling some pretty serious health complications. And unfortunately, cancer has taken my grandmother, and a couple weeks ago, I had to fly home on an emergency flight, and I chose to put everything on hold and be with my family because these were one of the, what we always call here at the Lone Doctrine, the real life things. And it was important for me to be with my family. It was important for me to be with my grandmother. And I fortunately got there a couple days before she passed, and I was able to be by her bedside and to share with you the impact that my grandmother has made on me is huge. Part of the reason of why I do this podcast is because of her. And she was always the type of person that would give a helping hand to anyone and everyone. And she was persistent in not only her faith, she was persistent in her love, and she was persistent in really caring for people, just not only my family, but people all around the world. She was a missionary as well, and she built churches and houses and orphanages, and she was an extraordinary person, to say the least. And I may be a bit biased, but I believe she's also touched many, many, many other lives, and it was truly an honor to be able to call her grandmother. And the last words she ever spoke were to me, and it was the simple but the most impactful, I love you. And I hope coming into this holiday season, I can share with you the real life things, and we can continue forward together to really concentrate on those real life things and not let the menial stresses of our everyday lives take away from what really counts. I know many of us are different and not all celebrate the holidays, but I believe we all celebrate life. So this month we'll be assessing how to cope and get through those heavier emotions and, set aside those menial stresses. I invite you to go back into the archives and also join us on our social media pages at Lone Doctrine to stay up to date with all the food for thought brought to you each and every week. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we love hearing from our listeners, so we hope to see you there. We'll try not to be square. Anyways, I'd like to start off with what we all feel at some point in time, and that is stress. How do we beat the stress of every day and get through the more hectic times in life? Perspective. The word of the day. Why perspective? All of our hardships, I believe, are opportunities that help us gain the perspective on all those cliche, get valid sayings you hear like, make the best of the worst, turn that frown upside down. When you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. The fact of the matter is, when we experience a difficult situation, we are met at a crossroad. Am I going to let this get the best of me, or will I rise up? Sure, it's easy to say it, rise up. But sometimes it's really hard, right? Some things in life we can learn from and recover from quickly, and other things we have to go through a lot of lessons, a lot of time, failing forward. And sometimes it's a lesson in our growth through a job or through a relationship or our home life, but a lesson that is the biggest one of all, and that is life itself. Loss. All of the layers of loss and how to, again, rise up. In my opinion, that's the biggest lesson of all, life and death. Perspective. Willingness to learn, to see, and to realize a stain on your pants, which, mind you, I've seen more than one person get livid about with no other reason behind it, just being a little stain. No point in crying over spilt milk. What I'm trying to say is that some things in life will drain your energy unnecessarily and leave you with less energy, less coping skills, and less of a foundation to get you through the harder times, the real times. Perspective, I feel, is one of the most powerful tools we have in life. Here at the Lone Doctrine, we are an exploration station, and in our exploration for today, I like to share with you the pain and the beauty of life changes by Zen habits. The reason for our suffering is our resistance to the changes in life, and life is all changes. Well, everything changes, and this is beautiful. The pain of life's changes. What do I mean that our suffering comes from resistance to the changes in life? Let's take a look at some things that give us trouble. Someone yells at you at work. The change is rooted in the fact that we expect people to treat us kindly and fairly and with respect, but the reality is that they don't always. When they don't, we resist this reality and want things to be the way we want them to be. And so we get mad or hurt or offended. How about this? Your 3-year-old or 13-year-old won't listen to you. Again, you expect your child to behave a certain way, but of course reality is different. And when reality doesn't conform to our expectations, we become stressed out. How about when you lose your job? This is a huge change that affects not only your financial stability, but your identity. If you are a teacher and lose your teaching job, you now have to deal with the changes in how you see yourself. This can be very difficult. Resisting these changes and the financial constraints that come with the job loss can be very painful. Here's another one. You have too many tasks and feel overwhelmed. What is the change here? We want things to be in control, but of course they aren't. New tasks and information come in, new requests, new demands, and these are all changes that are difficult because we thought we had our day under control and now it's not. And so we feel overwhelmed and stressed. And how about this one? A loved one dies. One of the ultimate changes is death, of course. But what has changed? Well, the person is obviously no longer in our life. At least not in the same way. But just as painfully, we are not the same person when a loved one dies. We have to change who we are. We're now a widower instead of a husband, a father without his daughter, or a friend who is left alone, or a granddaughter without a grandma. We want life to be the way it was, but it isn't. So we grieve and we rage sometimes. That's just the start. Things change all the time, and we resist it. Our day changes, our relationships change, other people don't act the way they should. We ourselves are changing constantly, and this is sometimes hard to deal with. So this is the pain of change, of not being in control, of things not meeting our expectations. So how do we cope? We can cope with the pain in numerous ways. We could get angry and yell, drink or do drugs, eat junk food, watch TV, or find other distractions. We can find positive ways to cope with the stress and hurt and anger. Exercise, talking about our problems with a friend, or trying to take control of the situation in some way. Planning, taking action, having a difficult conversation, etc., etc. Or we can embrace the changes. If changes are a basic fact of life, actually life is nothing but change, then why resist? Why not embrace and enjoy? See the beauty of change. It's hard because we're so used to resisting. Let's put aside our resistance and judgments for a few minutes and look at the beauty in life's changes. Okay, so someone yells at you at work. This person is hurting, frustrated, angry, and is taking it out on you. They are reaching out, trying to control the chaos of life, uselessly, of course, and are not succeeding. Can you empathize with this? Have you ever felt like this? There is beauty in our similarities, in our joint pain, in our connection as humans. Mentally embrace this beautiful, hurting human being. Feel his or her pain and give them compassion. What about when your 3-year-old or your 13-year-old won't listen to you? Amazingly, your child is asserting his or her independence. He or she is showing that there is a full human being there, not just a robot who follows orders. Have you ever been in that position? Have you ever been frustrated by someone else trying to control you? There is beauty in this independence, this fighting spirit, this rebellion. That's what life is. Okay, life is change, but it's also rebellion against control, etc., etc. Smile at this beauty. Love it. Give your child some space to grow. What about when you lose your job? As difficult as this is, it's an ending, but it's also a beginning. It's the start of a new journey, the opportunity to refresh your life, to reinvent who you are. See the beauty in this opportunity, the liberation from the usual way. What happens when you have too many tasks and you feel super overwhelmed, especially during the holidays? This is difficult without a doubt, but it's possible to surrender to the chaos and tasks and information and demands. You can't do them all at once, but you can let go of wanting things to be done under your complete control. There is beauty in the chaos. It is random. It is crazy. It is life. See the pain of your resistance and the beauty in the struggle as well. Then realize you can only do one thing at a time and do that. Then let that go and do the next thing. By embracing the chaos and seeing the beauty in it, we can be less overwhelmed and stressed out. So here's the biggest one of all. A loved one dies. This may be the hardest one of all. But death is an ending, which is a necessity. Endings are necessary for beauty. Otherwise, we don't appreciate the thing because it's unlimited. Limits are beauty. And death is the ultimate limit. A reminder we need to appreciate this beautiful thing called life while we have it. Death is also a beginning. Not in the sense of an afterlife, but a beginning for the survivors. While we have lost an important person, this ending, like the loss of a job, is a moment of reinvention. It might seem sad, but we are forced to reinvent our lives when a loved one dies. And in this reinvention is opportunity. Finally, of course, death is an opportunity to remember the person's life and be grateful for what they have gave us. The possibilities of finding beauty in our struggles with changes are endless. And I believe that's beautiful in its own way. And I believe continuing forward in a loved one's honor is so important. The possibility of finding beauty. That, my friend, is perspective. What colored glasses are you wearing? Is everything bad? Can you not catch a break? Is life always stressful? Granted, I'm not saying that putting on a different pair of glasses will make life all sunshine and rainbows, but the glasses we choose to wear and the choices we make will either better our life experiences or worsen them. I always ask myself in most things in life, will this better the situation, the person, or will it make it worse? The choice is yours. It's a daily choice in itself. It's feeding your mind well just as you feed your body well. It's not a quick or temporary fix. It's a change of lifestyle. It may take some time, but it's well worth the journey. The Lone Doctrine is your exploration station, a place to explore a wide spectrum of life's food for thought, so you can make this one and only life the best life. If you found value in the Lone Doctrine, We would be so grateful for your support. We've partnered up with Patreon, which is a place where you can help us stay on air and keep our doors open in supporting our listeners in making today better than yesterday. Thank you for your consideration, your support, and a very special thank you to our current Patreons who make the Lone Doctrine possible. We hope to see you at patreon.com/Lone Doctrine. patreon.com/Lone Doctrine. Thank you for your consideration. The Lone Doctrine is a listener-supported podcast, and we couldn't do it without you. We hope you'll also help us by joining us on Instagram and Facebook, where you'll find an ever-flowing amount of food for thought beyond just the podcast. We hope to see you there, and until next time, keep fighting the good fight.